Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun to be here. As you just heard, our practice is actually almost 30 years old, and as designers, probably at least a third of what we do never ever happens. So there's a lot of reasons for that we don't need to go into, but I dug into the project archives and found a lot of work that a lot of people in our company may have forgotten about or didn't even realize weren't even born when this was done. This is actually a logo for a restaurant. This is a new project that may actually happen. It's a restaurant called Under, and it is off the coast of Norway, and it is literally under the water. It is Europe's first underwater restaurant off the coast of Norway. And it is truly a combination of architecture, ecology, and gastronomy, and I think it's a good guess that they'll probably be serving seafood in this restaurant. It's submerged kind of like a shipwreck on the sea floor. It's encased in a very thick concrete construction with a very rough surface. That rough surface is designed to be a artificial mussel reef to displace the landscape to replace the landscape that it displaced. So eventually those mussels will be harvested for the table. Also in the water off the coast of Norway is a ship tunnel. This part of the coast gets a lot of high winds, and there's a very extreme underwater topography, which makes the currents very rough, creating very dangerous conditions for boats and ships in this part of the sea. So we've designed the entrances to that tunnel to provide better orientation and for safer navigation for boats and ships that go through this tunnel. It's about a mile long and about 120 feet wide. Yes. There we go. This is my first time doing this. About 7 years ago, the Guggenheim held a competition called Reimagining the Void. So it's that big atrium with the ramp that spirals around it that they're famous for. And instead of filling that void or changing it, we decided to take that ramp and unravel it and stretch it along outside of the building and imagine it as a public promenade along Fifth Avenue with all of the galleries that are adjacent off of it. Even if that crashed right into somebody's private apartment, suddenly they would have a Guggenheim gallery in the middle of their living room. So this one will never actually happen. We know that for sure. In 2011, you may remember the magnitude 9.0 earthquake off the coast of Japan, and the tsunami that followed soon after caused a lot of physical destruction as well as economic hardship in this area. So we did a project with a Japanese architect called Kengo Kuma, and we called this the East Japan Project, and we designed a product, a light that we call Lightbug, which is inspired by the traditional Japanese craft of making cast iron teapots. And the idea is that the local craftsmen can manufacture these lamps, and the profits from the sale will go to economic relief in the area. The Guggenheim held a competition. They asked us to collaborate with the Estonian composer Arvo Pärt to create quiet spots in the city. We identified 4 locations, 2 indoor and 2 outdoor, which we used for a temporary installation called still spotting. We filled up helium, weather balloons with helium and air and placed them in these locations. And the music of Arvo Pärt was piped into the interior space, or you were given an individual headset to where you could go around and be enveloped by these balloons and tune everything else out in the city for a few minutes. This is a multifamily housing project. This is for birds and other small creatures that are continuously displaced by a human development. We tend to forget that we're not the only ones who inhabit the city. This is a modular block designed to be incorporated into a building facade or into an exterior garden wall. There are different habitats of different sizes and design for a range of species. And the back has a one-way mirror so that you can look through and observe what's going on inside, but they can't see you watching them. This is a dollhouse that we designed as a fundraiser for the Children's Hospital here in El Paso a few years ago. From the exterior, it looks like what you might ordinarily imagine a typical dollhouse to be. But when you open it on the inside, it has quite an unusual interior. The first floor opens in one direction, and the second floor opens in the complete opposite direction. And we wanted to be able to create something unusual so that young kids could start imagining space in atypical ways. It was our first single-family residential project, and today it still remains the project with the highest cost per square foot and the most difficult client we've ever worked with. But we had a lot of fun doing this, and we just love this kind of project. Let's see, is there one more? Some of them go faster than others. Right now, we are working on an installation for the Museum of Sex in New York City. The theme is to be based on the ideas of the Bacchanal and Carnival and 19th century freak shows and circus shows that used to be quite common. We have an installation that is called A Roll in the Haystack, which is made up of a series of foam pistons which incorporate a climbing structure called the climax. It takes you up to the third floor, and if you've made it that far, you are rewarded by sliding down the slide, which is called the florifice. And I don't think I could say anything else after that, so I'll just stop here. All right, that's it.